So I want you to imagine this situation if you could, because I imagine that you've all been in this situation at some point. So you've been working for an employer for a while, and you've gone through a whole series of learning. You have improved some areas of your job, and you've increased your own skills along the way. And then it's come to its natural end where you feel that working for that employer no longer serves you or the employer. So what do? You find yourself another job and you hand in your notice. Now I want you to think back to that time when you handed in your notice and what it felt like. Were you comfortable? Did you have much to do? Was there any work that you were given? Now the chances are you were given lots of last minute things that needed very quickly doing, or maybe retraining the person who was due to take your place. But the chances are you didn't actually get anything mind-blowing done in that notice period. And why is that? It's because it's like a non-time period. It's like a period of work time where nothing really gets accomplished. Do you follow? Okay. Well, imagine if there was a time astrologically that was a bit like that, when it didn't really matter what you did because the time just wasn't really right to achieve anything or accomplish anything. Okay? Well, there is a time like that, and it's called the moon void of course. And when that happens, I'll call it void moon, just because it's a bit easier. It's a bit of a mouthful otherwise. But the void moon, what happens is the moon goes through the zodiac, so from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, all the way through to Pisces, sorry. And it does that every 28, 29 days. And so the moon spends 2 to 2.5 days in every sign. So it has 2.5 days in Aries, then 2.5 days in Taurus, and then Gemini. And while it's in a particular sign, so let's for instance imagine that the moon is in Aries at the moment. So the moon, as it's in Aries, will be making contacts with other planets. So for instance, as the moon goes through Aries at the moment, it will contact Uranus, and it will be conjunct Uranus, and it will create a set of circumstances that might be a bit exciting, might be a little bit different, a little bit challenging, and a little bit, oh, hold on to your hats kind of thing. It's pretty rapid and quick energy. And then the moon might make an aspect to Jupiter in Leo, or it might make an aspect to another planet. Once it's made all the aspects that it can possibly make whilst it's in Aries, it's okay, it's an active moon. But the moment that the moon has finished making those aspects to the other planets, the moon is kind of redundant. It's almost in its notice period, waiting until it moves into its next job, which is moving into Taurus. And then when he moves into Taurus, or when the moon, she moves into Taurus, she'll start making connections with all the planets again and learning new things, creating learning situations for all of us. And when she stops making those learning opportunities for us, making those connections with the planets, then again the moon goes void of course. So all the moon void of course is a natural time when the moon seems inactive, and when the moon goes direct again, when the moon is active again, then it's a good time to do things and accomplish things. So with this in mind, I actually organise my day around the moon void of course. So for instance, if I want to get something accomplished, I will do it, record it, design it, any kind of work or consultations I do when the moon is in an active state. And anything that I don't mind doing again and again and refining, then I'm happy to do that when the moon is void of course. The moon is void of course, when it's a void moon, it's a time when things don't get accomplished, but that you can rework and start things over and over and over again. So it's a good time to spend doing something you really enjoy doing. So, is it a good time to get married? If you think about it, is your marriage, your wedding date, is it a time when you want to have to redo it? Probably not. And that is why astrologers will advise you to marry when the moon is not void. So only marry when the moon is active. Or else you might find that your marriage doesn't get off to a good start, that it needs redoing in some way, like some of the paperwork doesn't get filled in properly, or just the sentiment isn't there. It's the kind of influence and energy of a marriage that signifies it needs restarting, it needs redoing. So bear that in mind when you're planning your wedding date.